Good morning, everyone. This is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and here we are, Coffee and MTG, day 93. We keep it rolling. If you keep brewing up those coffees, we're going to keep talking about Magic. So, wherever you are in this world, morning, afternoon, or evening, it's always a great time to brew up a cup of coffee because on this show, we talk Magic the Gathering. We discuss all things recent events. And you got questions, myself and the community. We've got the answers. And also, we do deck list reviews on this show. If you need to take your deck list to another level, take your brew, make sure that it's got the right mana base, the right curve, the right range of spells, and the correct sideboard to beat the current metagame. Submit it to us, and myself and the community, will give the feedback. So, thank you very much, everyone who joins every single day. And if you want to join the show live, remember that we've changed the time schedule here. It is now going to be Mondays to Fridays, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. And you can find us at twitch.tv/NikachuMTG. And I hope to see you there. I hope to see you here, just like Ugly Hood Rat. First, and is almost always first for Decklist review as well. And we also have Reality 5. Good morning. So, brew up your cup of coffee, and hopefully it's very convenient, because today I had one of those days where I boil the water, I make my cup of coffee, and then I'm ready to put the milk in, and then it's all lumpy, gross stuff. It just, I poured a bunch of lumpy, gross-looking, chunky cream into my coffee, and I'm like, well, no, I don't have milk, and I have to brew this thing up all over again. It's great. That's just fantastic. But whatever. Coffee Mate is a fantastic substitute. Where's Coffee Mate? We're coffee mating it up this morning. Oh, there it is. This is what I used this morning. The OG, original coffee creamer. Excellent. You're there when I need to, Coffee Mate. Excellent. Just in case you also have. You know what? I don't know about everyone else, and I know that's not Magic related, but my milk is expiring like way faster than usual. Like it says, like it's best before, I don't know. There's a week left to go, and it's gone. It's already going, and it's not my fridge. I don't know what it is. Something's going on wrong there. It's not making it easy for me to make my coffee, especially for these shows. Switch to almond milk. It's possible. And you know what? I mean, I think it's more fattening. I drink a lot of skim milk. Good morning, Grim Ducky. Can only stay for the first 15 minutes. Have to write a test to get a new job. Hey, not bad. That sounds good too. Get back to work. Good morning, El Rodio-san. Drink it black. I used to. Well, I mean, like I'm close to that range of drinking it black, but I like a little bit of milk in my coffee. Top of the morning, Rude Senpai. At the hospital, about to get eye surgery. Good luck. Is it laser eye surgery? Those are usually very, very successful and very common. And they work. I know multiple people who got these laser eye surgeries to correct their sight, and like it's mind-blowing. Like one day they're just literally blind. They can't see shit, and then all of a sudden they don't need glasses anymore. First day of school for me today. I'm not happy. I'm in the same boat. Yeah, we're back to school. You must be. Are you from Canada? Because I think in the States they like go to school like earlier. And you see, I've like, I know I've been under the weather for the last few days. And I'm just sort of letting myself go. Look, I got this beard going on over here. My hair's not actually washed. It's all dirty. And I was like, do I want to get myself ready for the morning show? And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just roll it. Just roll it. Let's do this. It's all good. You can't smell me from there. Good morning, Aaron. Good morning, 5x5, and evening and afternoon, pending where you are. Hello, Lonely Isotope. Yes, maybe switch to almond milk. I mean, I've had almond milk before. It's not too bad. I just find that it's like, am I right? That's like, it's like super fattening for me. You know what? It does last longer though. Good morning, Shambly. You had a Spawnshire of Ulamog deck featured a couple weeks ago, and now it's in MTG Goldfish, does it feel good to know he's screen sniping your channel for content? Who? And now it's an you mean Saffron Olive? Well, who knows? I mean, I don't know where the Spawn Shire of Ulamog deck came from. Maybe it came from somewhere else. So I don't know the origin of this stuff. There's a lot of these ideas. I mean, if it was an original deck, then I think it's impressive how social media like feeds all this stuff. One idea that gets grabbed and goes to another one, or somebody might have seen the show here and then suggested to MTG Goldfish, hey, make this awesome Spawn Shire of Ulamog deck. Here's the idea. What can you do with it? Because that always happens all the time as well. Did you hear Professor scammed us? Tulane Community College isn't even accredited. Your diplomas are worthless. Oh yeah, just like real degrees, basically paper for the most part. Hello Nikachu. Hello Thomas. How's everyone doing? I'm doing. In grand scheme of things, I'm doing great. And remember, if you want your questions answered, you want your comments highlighted, go 3 question marks before the question, 3 question marks after the question, or at Nikachu MTG helps me find your questions in the sea of all the other comments that people are giving in the chat. Then we are more than welcome to talk all things Magic on this show. Root Senpai says, I'm new to the stream, but I caught your YouTube channel, and that's how I found you on Twitch. Social media marketing is working. You're going down my funnel. But yes, it's good to have, if you have a Twitch channel, it's good to have a YouTube channel. I did the right thing first. I love your Merfolk gameplay. I've been maiming Merfolk for the last, or playing Merfolk for the last 3 years, so it's cool to watch someone else play. You're welcome. Yes. And I've been doing this for like 6 years, basically, at this point. Good morning, TBCP. And it's a contact lens implant. Now that I've never heard of before. That is very interesting. All right, good luck with that. Yes, the Canadians are going back to school today. Big sad face. Although I just learned one of my classes is like super. It's like not only is it all online, it's like Khan's Academy type of thing online. It's not Khan's Academy, but it's just going to be all like video lectures and stuff like that. Did we lose it? Yes, you lost 1 chubby meatball emote because now there are 3-2-1 emotes. Pending your tier, you have access to the full 3-2-1. So at tier 1, you have access to the 1. At tier 2, you have access to the 2. And at tier 3, you have access to the 3. So my brother's patented 3-2-1. People wanted that in an emote. Now it exists in an emote. Like I can give an example in chat. 3, 2, 1. I have the power. So pending your tier, you and then if one day I get partnered and I need a lot, I need a lot more of you watching me on a regular basis. We can, everyone will have access to the 3-2-1 emotes, but this is the only way I can like squeeze it in there. But we still have a chubby meatball emote. We still have chubby meatball. We also have Salute. Salute, you want to say hi this morning? Say hello. Say good morning to everybody. Salute's directly behind me very often. I should get him to say hello. Good morning, Salute. How are you? Yeah, he's pretty chubby actually. When he came from Taiwan, he was really thin. And now he is he's learned the fancy feast. Delicious fancy feast. I felt attacked when you made the Rakdos Prowess deck. I've been using it for a year now, and it got popular. Wow, you were really onto something before everybody else. Because yeah, that deck is just super OP. I should actually thank Applesauce399 for subscribing with Prime. Thank you very much, Applesauce399. That was a subscription off stream. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. By the way, if you've got Prime, that's a free way of supporting the channel. Keep the live content coming. I love the, oh my god, what, chubby meatball? Well, maybe I can maybe replace one of them. Not everyone's using the emotes. Like there's some like the people like the cat emotes. I should just scrap everything except the cool emote. I mean, it's this honestly, it's the same emote. It's just zoomed in more. It's literally the same emote. It's just zoomed in more for like effect. What's Salud's card equivalent? Miri? Huh? I don't get it. Yeah, this is everything we got right now. Those are all the emotes. I could kick out the happy one and add the chubby meatball one back. Yeah, I know. It is what it made it funny. Or maybe should we or do I supplement this chubby meatball emote for the other one? All right. I'm going to replace the emotes. We're going to get it back. We'll have two I don't know. Do we have two chubby meatball emotes or do I replace this emote with the oh my god one back? I didn't know which one people use. Well, no, I have to have this one. People like to make the squid chubby meatball all the time, so I'll have two. We'll have both. I like both, but I like the close-up one more. All right, the close-up one more is going to come back. I'll get rid of the happy one. The second one on the right, because people like to use the sunglasses one. I don't know if people are using the 3-2-1 yet. When my brother comes, people will get used to using the 3-2-1. Nikachu, in a top 10 creature height type in MTG, how high is Merfolk tribe on the scale? It depends. On popularity, probably number one. Merfolk was hands down like one of the most popular tribes and popular communities, like just in general. But if you talk about on a competitive scale, it's probably going to be like somewhere in the middle, number 5 or something like that. Merfolk has definitely had its day in the sun in the past. It's had a lot of competitive success, but not as much lately. I mean, through my channel, we went back. Merfolk was nothing, and then we went back to competitive prominence, and then now it's like really on and off. It's not very consistent. Lonely Isotope says, can we all agree that Merfolk has not gotten any real support in years? This is very true. We are heavily being forgotten, and we are greatly being ignored. Like, they're making Merfolk cards, but I mean, they're useless. They're just absolutely useless. And what's sad is, like, they're going to correct Fire Design probably in the next few sets. So if there's any shot at some really busted card, it's now. Because when they power down the sets again, I don't know. Like, maybe we can still depend on Modern Horizons, because Modern Horizons 2 is coming up next summer, so maybe we can depend on that, but I don't know. It's we're gonna have to wait and see. But like right now is a really good opportunity to get cards. Like I'm looking at all the other archetypes in Modern right now, and this like you look at any big archetype right now, it's because they got a lot of cards during this era. And I'm looking at Merfolk and I'm like, we don't got shit. I mean, this is basically how I feel about it right now. Ixalan was our moment, but like Fire Design didn't come into existence at Ixalan. If only they started Fire Design during Ixalan, we might have had something good going for us. Things might have been great. We might have had like millions of great Merfolk, but it wasn't to be. It just wasn't to be. Yeah, we still need a decent one drop that synergizes. Do you know what? I mean, I'll take a 1 mana 4/4 that somehow has no synergy, but I have no idea how they would give that to us. Nikachu, there was a few streamers playing Neobrand yesterday after you got off. That's interesting because maybe Neobrand is going to make a very big comeback. Lord Magicka says that they've adapted with a new iteration of the deck. And we did see there was a user on Twitter, I don't remember who went 9-1 in the Mana Trader series with Neobrand. So that's an impressive record. And maybe it's going to make a comeback. Maybe it's going to make a comeback. Now, when we were streaming, I was in the losers bracket. So, I mean, I still don't have a whole lot of faith in this deck. And I still think it's going to get beat up by just a lot of a lot of cards will beat it up. I still think it has trouble against like Thoughtseize, Force of Negation, Chalice of the Void. I really don't, and I wouldn't say it mulligans that well when also having to fight that hate. So I'm all welcome for Neobrand coming back. But if it really does dominate, I mean, let's see if they finally gets banned. Like, I don't actually think many people have bought into that deck physically on paper, but hey, don't. It's not a good idea. Well, that was the speculation yesterday. I guess so. Nikachu, they're too busy trying to make Merfolk Mill a thing. I don't think they're trying to make Merfolk Mill a thing, but like they're certainly adding more mill garbage to everything. I'm surprised Neobrand died so hard. I thought it would have some more presence. Well, at the time, it just couldn't beat Force Negation, and there's just too many blue decks out there. You know, you run into Control, and they just need like one Force Negation against you, and you're doomed. I actually don't know what the context is. If like how good like I imagine Thoughtseize is good against this deck, but not as good as Force Negation, because Force Negation is, I mean, they'll burn 2 cards on Allosaurus Rider, then they Neoform, and they sacrifice the creature, and then if you Force Negate that, they're down 4 cards. Whereas if you Thoughtseize them, they're just down 1 card. They just need to wait for that one piece of the puzzle to get back into their hand. But I imagine most Thoughtseize decks are also aggressive enough to close the game out before they can find that missing piece again. Nikachu, how many mana sources do I need to run to have Lurrus viable in Simic Merfolk? In my opinion, you would be fine with about 8 plus Aether Vial. I think that would be okay. I think that would be okay. And I mean, I ran 8 sources myself, because the deal is you're not getting Lurrus out. Like, let's look at the table. Let's look at the Frank Karsten table. How many mana sources do I need to consistently cast your spells? So all you have to do is like Google how many mana sources, and this article pops up from 2018 of Frank Karsten. He gives great tables here. So here's the deal. You can't even cast Lurrus until turn 4, because you have to spend 3 mana just to put Lurrus into your hand. So for that reason, we can look at something like, okay, if you want to cast Lurrus by turn 4, you need apparently 16 mana sources. That's way below what I'm doing. How about... But I am counting Aether Vial also as a source, because you can tick the Aether Vial up. So I have about 12 sources. So based on how I'm doing it, what's CC1? No, CC2. Because when I look at this, I feel like that's turn 4. If I want to even play on turn 4. But you know what? Honestly, you don't even want to play on turn. You want to play it mostly on turn 5, right? Because you're going to ideally play Lurrus and cast a 2-drop from your graveyard at the same time. So really, it's going to be looking like a 5-drop. So that's about 14 mana sources. But anyway, the thing with Lurrus is you're free rolling on it. You're free rolling on it. So you may not have the mana. I had 8 whites. I'll say this. I had 8 white sources, and I had 2 Cavernous Souls, which you could name Cat if you really want to, and 4 Aether Vial. So that actually makes 14 mana sources. So it's very close to this Baneslayer Angel range like we have here. I had no problem casting Lurrus. I had problems putting Lurrus in my hand and living to cast it. But in terms of actually needing to cast it, of actually casting, it wasn't too bad. It was not too bad. You're welcome. Where are the questions? Remember, there's nothing. How do you think Mdfc will impact deck building? Okay, what is Mdfc? Is that the flip card? It's obviously says MD is like something flip card, I think. But what is the MD part? Oh, modal dual faced cards. Oh, how is it going to affect deck building? I mean, probably not by much. It will. Well, it's think of it this way. You know, how impactful is a creature land in a deck? And you know, formats like Pioneer and Historic don't have many creature lands available to them. They have some, at least in in Pioneer. So all it is it's going to be more spells attached to lands. So instead of putting into play a treetop village, you now have like a sorcery that you have the option to either keep in your hand or to put the land onto the battlefield. So all it's going to do is going to make decks more threat dense, more threat dense than usual. Not as threat dense as a creature land would, because you get both sides of the effect. You get it as a land, and then it's a creature when you want it to. But in the at least as a sorcery, I think some of them are instants, or they're everything. They're also creatures. You have the option to play it as the better thing in the late game when you start, like when you've run out of gas. So I don't think it's going to make. I don't actually think there's going to be much to. I don't think it's going to change deck building too much. I think it's going to be very similar to how people use creature lands to increase the threat density of their deck. Do you know what happened to Jacob Kaminsky, the Blue Moon Master? I get this question actually quite a bit because people watch the Blue Moon interview I have and then find out his the socials are all gone. I actually don't know what happened to him. I'm sure he's taking a break. He was pretty upset with the fire design over the last few. He was pretty vocal about it. And you know what? If he's disconnected himself from the game for a little while to take a break, all the more power to him. Good luck to him. But personally, I have no idea. The fact that they ETB tap means it will slow the meta a bit, probably. Well, I mean, it depends on the deck. I mean, like an aggro deck probably doesn't want to play these lands. However, and a control deck is playing pretty slowly anyway. They don't need all their lands to come into play untapped, so they will have no problem playing those cards. So I mean, it depends on the tempo of the archetype that wants to utilize them. But I don't think I doubt it's not gonna slow the meta down any more than creature lands slow the meta down, in my opinion. It won't change anything. Mdfc will stress test how many ETB tap lands a deck can support. That's it. Well, I mean, if there are enough playable ones, because they're not all playable. Like some of them are garbage. I guess because it's a free roll. Is that true? I'm just wondering if we were already at capacity given ETB tapped lands. Like a blue-eye control deck doesn't play Fairy Conclave, for example. They could. Like, why not? They could play Fairy Conclave, but they opt to only play Celestial Colonnade in Modern. So I'm just wondering if we've already reached capacity of like 3 to 4 ETB tapped lands. But I know what you're saying. Like now, you know, how many can we play this until until the deck actually literally becomes clunky? Do you think Celestial Colonnade is playable right now in Modern? Yeah, I think it's playable. I mean, it's playable in the right build, but the problem is, like, if you're playing, so Celestial Colonnade is best in, say, like a blue-white control deck, or maybe some versions of blue-white tempo. But why aren't you playing an Uro deck? You know, the card that everyone's screaming to get banned so that they can bring Jund back. Those Jund people, they're loud. They're gonna get Jund back by getting rid of Uro. It's funny, they should probably just play Uro, right? Like we saw that in the last round of my stream yesterday. I was up against a Sultai deck. Makes sense to me. It's basically Jund minus the red, which is useless right now. Add the blue for Uro. So that's the only problem. It's like Celestial Colonnade is playable, but do you want to play a Celestial Colonnade deck over an Uro deck? That's the issue, because I don't think Colonnade is showing any play in any of those Uro decks. Having triple blue available and 3 islands by turn 4 is a thing. Oh yeah, that's actually a really good point. I totally forgot about that. You do want the islands for Mystic Sanctuary. Although I don't know if it's mandatory that you have Mystic Sanctuary online by turn 4. But you know what? As a control player, I can't say for sure. I'm definitely considering jamming a set of Censor blue lands in a build. That is, well, you know what? Like, I don't know if that is a great card to have like 4x of, because we could talk about that. What's the Censor land called? Let's get Censor land. Thoughts on Fairy Conclave and Merfolk? Totally fine. Played it a million times. It's good. Just to add, okay, so while someone get me the Censor land name so I can find it. I'll look it up and we can talk about this card because it's actually really iffy. But on that, Fairy Conclave is playable, but honestly makes only a difference in like 10% of my games. So like 1 match per 2 leagues, I'll feel like Fairy Conclave actually did something. So the answer is it does something, but it's like rare when it does something. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Fairy Conclave, usually because it's pretty clunky, hard to play creatures and activate it at the same time. Jwari Disruption. Because I don't. Okay, so this is the land. I think this is a bad card to have in multiples. Like a lot. Like if you're gonna play this card, play no more than 2. I'll tell you why. Because the whole point of these lands is that you have something to do when you start flooding out. But you know, when you start flooding out, your opponent also has a lot of mana. So actually both sides are going to be dead in the late game. That's not a good thing. Now, in addition to that, I think this is more valuable when your opponent thinks that you have a lot of them in your deck when you actually don't. So if you play, say, Jwari Runes on turn 1, and let's say that's the only copy in your entire deck, your opponent, assuming they're observing, and they're an observing opponent, they'll play around the Jwari Disruption for the rest of the game, so long as you have mana up. Because they don't know that you have 1 copy in your deck. They think, well, maybe you have 4 copies. Maybe you have 4 copies in your deck. It's possible. So, I mean, now that's not to say that you should just have 1 in your deck. You could have more than 1. But I don't know if this is a great card to have as a 4x, because not only is it clunky, I don't know if the payoff is there having 4 of them. And then in the late game, I do think it will be just stone dead. That you don't want to land in the late game, and you also don't want a counterspell that taxes things for 1 mana in the late game. I think Jwari Disruption is better in Mono Blue Devotion, where you can actually use the mana late game. And it stops turn 3 Teferi. But like a lot of cards stop turn 3 Teferi. Yes, the mind plays. The mind plays. Gotta use the mind plays. Do you think Bant Spirits is still playable right now in Modern? You know, someone was asking me recently just about Spirits in general, and I can see what problems Spirits might have right now in Modern, because the format's very heavy on Walking Ballista, both from Tron and Eldrazi Tron, because both of them are utilizing Karn the Great Creator right now, and also the Prowess decks are utilizing Lava Dart and a lot of disruption, a lot of removal. And I also can say pretty confidently that Bant Spirit specifically is not a threat-dense deck. That is just a super aggro deck. It's got a lot of air because it uses Noble Hierarch, which is not really a threat in the deck. So the point is there's a lot of removal for 1 toughness creatures. So it snipes down your Rattle Chains, your Selfless Spirit, your Noble Hierarchs, your Mausoleum Wanderers. And that's not a good environment for Spirits. It's actually quite bad. Which is why Merfolk right now, we've dumped almost everything that has 1 toughness. And the only 1 toughness creature that we play right now is Silvergill Adept, at least for me as a Simic player. And I think a lot of the other version, like we don't play Master of Waves anymore because of the 1 toughness. So you can dodge the Lava Dart, but you can't dodge the Ballista. And in addition to Plague Engineer, that is still being run out of any deck that's almost any deck that's running black. It's just not a good time right now for the one toughness creature decks, which is that's all I have to say about that. So no, it's not. It doesn't seem like unless there's some big change to how the deck is built. It does not look that great for spirits right now. Like the lords are still good. Drogskull Captain and what's it called? Drogskull Captain and I'm blanking on the 2-mana one. Supreme Phantom is still good, still great protection in the metagame, but all the other creatures that have to do the dirty work and attack are not as good as they used to be. Or you have to play it differently, where you have to get the lord out first and then follow it up with something strong. So anyway, take it for what it's worth. It's why we don't really see spirits right now. I think the metagame is very harsh on one toughness creatures, which is also why I'm playing Simic Merfolk, because I can dodge that crap better than other tribal decks can. Would flip lands count towards Field of the Dead if the same land is in play, but the other side, are they technically different? I doubt it's going to count. I think it would only count the land part, not the spell part. But I mean, I'm not a judge, and I can never tell what the new rules are until a judge actually tells me. So Neil says, I'm a little scared of buying into Uro when everyone is whining about it. And I would be scared to buy into Uro. But that doesn't mean you can't rent Uro. You can rent Uro if you want to. How much is Uro, actually? Do I have to go to MTG Goldfish? How much is Uro online? Hold on. Online, $70. Oh, forget it. That is expensive. That is a very expensive Uro. That is an expensive meatball. Because, for example, what I could even suggest for people like myself, because I started reaching out to the rental services because I kept on borrowing cards so many times for toolbox reasons in my for my Merfolk deck, because if I want to try out the red splash or the white splash and all this other stuff. So they do offer, like Mana Traders offers like a $10 subscription. You can borrow up to 100 ticks worth of cards, but it won't cover this unless you just want one Uro. So just forget about it. Uro is expensive. There are more decks out there than Uro decks, so don't worry about that. All right, so we're going to segue into the second half of this show, deck list review. So if you have a deck that you want reviewed, go ! Deck review space, give the URL to your deck, and leave any comments that help me give feedback. Like, what is it, a budget deck? What help do you need about? What decks are you losing to that you need to beat? That all helps me and the community give useful feedback to your deck list. And while we do that, I'd love to thank my sponsors, starting with themanabase.com, your home base for everything Magic the Gathering content. They do content on everything: Modern, Pioneer, Standard, Commander. The Manabase is your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. And also, the Manabase is sponsored by Fusion Gaming Online. And Fusion Gaming, my favorite local game store. And they've got a deal of the week. They have a deal every single week. So watch out for every week for their new deal. Save up to 20% off from the Vault singles and sealed product. Although I believe the sealed product can only move within Canada. This is a Canadian store, Canadian prices. Don't go crazy when you see that. What's Jace the Mind Sculptor here? So if you think like $142 for Jace the Mind Sculptor, it's damaged. What's a near mint? Okay, Double Masters. This is like the same thing. What is this? The price, whatever. They're not $89 for Jace the Mind Sculptor. What's going on here? It's Canadian prices. Canadian. And we're also going to thank Mana Traders. Mana Traders is the premier place to rent Magic cards online, and you can support the channel by using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or you can sign up to them with my coupon code Nikachu to get 20% off your first 3 months. We're going to thank Mana Traders for being a sponsor. Ta-da. All right. So as people keep submitting lists, I will. I'm going to start it off right now, but if you can keep submitting lists, and you will be randomly selected. I should mention, you get randomly selected here. That's how this works. Neutral good. I keep losing to Blitz and Burn. I hear you. I totally hear you. 8 Crab. Check out your 8 Crab deck. I guess this is Mill. So this is going to be interesting, and I still have I'm going to make a video about how Mill is probably going to be a tier deck in Modern very soon, because they just got like 8 new cards to include in their deck. Okay, so Roundly is like, me in Canada wanting a Jace, but seeing it as $90. Still not happy. So you got a lot of standard stuff here. Mesmeric Orb, Archive Trap, Drown in the Lock, Fatal Push, Surgical Extraction. I didn't know Surgical Extraction was such a big card in this deck. Hedron Crab, Jace's Phantasm, Ruin Crab, which is coming out, Glimpse the Unthinkable, Fraying Sanity. Is this really that good? Champ player, because I mean, this is a slow card, but at the same time, the beginning of each end step, and champ player at top X cards of his or her library into their graveyard, where X is the number of cards put into the graveyard from anywhere that turn. I don't know how reliable this card is. I would rather it was the other. What's the new one? There's like a new card that dump 8 cards into the opponent's graveyard. Somehow I think that might be more impactful than this, because this requires a second card to get online, because if you don't, and you'd have to save them up. So you have to go like Fraying Sanity turn 3 into like Glimpse the Unthinkable turn 4, in addition to other things. And anyway, I honestly think this is a little bit too clunky. Yeah, Maddening Cacophony. Now, I don't know if this is what Mill is looking for. Come on, let's go. And as a kicker, too. So each opponent mills 8 cards. If the spell was kicked, instead, each opponent mills half their library rounded up. So, I mean, you have a late game card in addition to just having a 2-mana card. But, like, I think Mill, the way I'm looking at it is, if you like this card, this one is just a little bit worse in some ways, but a little bit better in other ways. So this is the way I look at it, and it might just make the deck more consistent in that regards. You play that with Fraying as a 2-card combo. Oh, I see. You can like, well, that's too clunky. Remember, in Modern, you don't have time. Like, you don't have time for this. You're gonna die on turn 4, and if you really have to be aiming to win by turn 4, because if you don't, you're gonna be lost. You don't have time to wait till turn 5. As simple as that. So I imagine that you have to. The mill plan has to be like really consistent, really fast, and that's why I criticize the enchantment, because you're like playing this on turn 3, and then you're gonna start playing milling cards on turn 4. That's a bit late, and then like you have to win on that turn. And you know what? Chances are, I bet you're not going to win on that turn. You're going to win on the following turn, which is turn 5. And really, you really honestly have to be in Modern. You have to design your deck to go for turn 3, turn 4 wins. Especially, I think, with an archetype like this. And I understand, like, the better versions of Mill have more of a control plan, and I don't mind. I really don't mind drawing the lock, fatal push, surgical extraction. That's okay. 22 lands. You have Ether Gust, Cling to Dust, Dead of Winter, Grafdigger's Cage, Mystical Dispute, Surgical Extraction. All right, so now you want help versus Prowess and Burn. Well, hold on. Don't you have... Where's the... There's a very simple answer to Burn. What is the card exile all creatures and you gain 2 life? Or maybe that's not going to be that good against Burn. Well, Bantu's Last Reckoning is slow. Like you're not going to do anything for a turn. Crypt Incursion, but yeah, that's what I was thinking about, but maybe it's not good enough. Exile creature cards from target player's graveyard. You gain 3 life for each card exiled this way. Problem is, Burn does not play enough creatures for the most part. You could exile your own graveyard. 3 life is a lot of life, though. If you gain 12 life, that's usually enough to slow the Burn player down by a lot, like a lot. But still, it can be a problem. Like, I mean, if they have Eidolon out, you might, like, get just killed. Mill has a new toy, wants some sideboard help. This might end up being the Collective Brutality overall might be, like, the best way to beat both archetypes at the same time. It just might be the best way. You can kill the creatures, you can gain some life, you can also take out, like, important cards from their hand. So maybe I probably have to recommend Collective Brutality. And what you take out, I'm not sure. Just, play your deck as much as you can and find out which cards you're not siding in very much and are expendable. Run 1 Shelldock Isle. There's no Shelldock Isles in this deck. There's a Shelldock Isle. Maybe play the remove. So we have 1. So I think that's probably like Collective Brutality is like the go-to card for it might not beat Prowess because a savvy player will. Oh, no Field of Ruins. Oh, to force someone to search their library with your archive trap. Yeah, there might be room for. There's definitely room for Field of Ruin. There's definitely room. And look, you got Mystic Sanctuary. I actually like that. That's very nice. So you can reuse cards like Glimpse the Unthinkable, which I think is good. I think it's good. I think that's great. Honestly, I don't know what is the right number of fetches in a mill deck, but you might want the fetches so that you can maximize on Mystic Sanctuary. So I think that is... Mystic Sanctuary is such a bad card in Standard. I don't even know why people would play it in Modern. Oh, it's because you have access to way more powerful spells, Ugly Hood Rat. You have access to significantly better spells overall in Modern. It's very, very effective in Modern. People are calling for the banning of the card. I don't even know why they're doing that. I think that is ridiculous. So, yeah, my main suggestion... So the community suggests you have some Field of Ruins in this deck. I can agree with that because then you can force them to search their library and then you can archive trap them. If you're playing with Archive Trap, it almost seems necessary that you have some, like, at least two Field of Ruins. And then from there, make room for Collective Brutality. It will definitely work on Burn. Burn hates that card. It may not work as well against Prowess because your opponent, if they hold up mana, they can make sure that their Prowess creature will go to become 2/3 instead of a 1/2. But there's still a lot of creatures you can kill, like Kiln Fiend and Abbot of the Carol Keep is probably hard to keep alive. So there's all that. So anyway, thank you very much for submitting the deck list, and I hope that feedback was useful. All right, moving on with deck list review. 5x5's list has been chosen. I've not tested this deck. It's a concept, but El Rodeo-san has actually piloted it, and it's running 4-1 so far. All right, so it's on the right path. Blood Artist Tribal. I hate Blood Artist. It's a very annoying card to beat. So Blood Artist, whenever Blood Artist itself or another creature dies, target player loses a life and you gain a life. Corpse Knight, whenever another... I've played against decks like this before. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses a life. Cruel Celebrant, whenever Cruel Celebrant or another creature enters, or Planeswalker you control dies, each opponent loses a life, you gain a life. Doom Traveler, Hunted Witness, whenever it dies, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink. Lurus of the Dream Den. Oh, that is smart. That is... Now, I have not seen that idea before. I've seen all these other cards, but I never saw it with Lurus. And you're like, not even playing it as a companion. You're just going to say all in. You're just going all in on Lurus. Okay. So Zulaport Cutthroat, whenever, again, whenever Zulaport Cutthroat or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. 4 Ether Vial, 20 land. 2 Silent Clearing. I'm surprised you, in a deck that has so much life gain, that you don't want to go the full 4 on the Silent Clearing. But Marsh Flats, Godless Shrine. How many planes? You have 3 planes, 3 swamp. I think that's okay. If you have a lot of life to burn in this deck, I would consider going up to just complete 4 Silent Clearing. Silent Clearing, I will say, like, the Horizon lands are not the best positioned right now because of the like, you know, burn and prowess, and you want to keep your life total high. But I'm just saying, you know, if I had life to spare, I would want more threat density. We have Cauldron Haze. Choose any number of target creatures. Each of those creatures gain persist until end of turn, so they can all die and then come back. Is that necessary though? Choose any number of target creatures. Each of those creatures gain persist. Hold on. What's the gimmick here? Because a lot of these are already like a 1 toughness creature, right? Oh no, it's not. It's a 2 toughness. This is 1 toughness. So what, you just want them to come back and then have a second trigger? Needs a sack outlet? Well, I mean, you can just attack with this stuff, and if they don't want to block, that's fine too. That's true. There's no sack outlet here. Well, look, it's also going for Kaya's Wrath, so they just blow the whole board up, and then you gain life equal to the number of creatures that were destroyed. Yeah, the 1 toughness dies instantly, but it would trigger again. They would even though they die instantly, they do trigger. So first off, I really like this part. This is strong. I like the Ether Vial. I'm not sure about this part, but I haven't played the deck, and it's impossible for me to give a judgment about the archetype just staring at these cards. Yeah, Viscera Seer seems like a really good inclusion in this deck. Like, instead of Kaya's Wrath, to force it, there might, like what people said, you might want to have more sack outlets. However, Kaya's Wrath, not bad, really. Because of well, I mean, I think destroying a lot of creatures right now is pretty good. Would Cat Oven be good here? I don't know. So it would be convenient if there was some legitimate sack outlet for this deck, because you can't actually sack things yourself. Whenever it dies, create a 1/1 token. You can't force anything to die except with Kaya's Wrath. Yeah, you can't have. Yeah, you can't have both. So they've chosen to have just Lurus in the main, which is fine if they want to do it. So what's the sideboard is Disenchant for Inquisition of Kozilek. Probably should just be 4 Thoughtseize. I imagine almost everything that you want to take with Inquisition of Kozilek is also something you want to take with Thoughtseize. We have Leyline of the Void. Is that better than Rest in Peace? Oh, no. You don't want to exile your graveyard. You want your graveyard. You want your graveyard. Okay, Leyline of the Void it is. 2-path to exile. Okay, I don't have any... So anyway, I don't have anything to say about this deck. I would have to play test it personally to see if Kaya's Wrath is enough. Because, like, I mean, there is the alternate... Like, people are saying we need a sack outlet. Well, how about we just attack with these creatures into the opponent, and if they die, then they trigger, and then we bring them back with Lurrus anyway. Yeah, to be honest, blocking... Yeah, that's also true. Blocking the opponent's creatures is a sack outlet if they don't play any just attack. So maybe you don't... Maybe there isn't anything necessary to do. I don't mind the Kaya's Wrath, because there's a lot of creatures in the format right now. I mean, wiping the board of all the prowess creatures seems very appealing to me. Is it super budget, or is it just super focused? I mean, if they want to disenchant, they want to disenchant. I don't know what I honestly don't know what the disenchant is for, but it's there. The only card I find very peculiar is the Cauldron Haze. It's an instant, which means you need to play the Cauldron Haze. You have to play Cauldron Haze first, and then you need to play Kaya's Wrath. So that's 6 mana. I think that's a bit unrealistic in a 20 land mana base. That seems very unrealistic. So I would choose any number of target creatures. I guess the idea is you can block Cauldron Haze, then get the creature back. Yeah, but this is a crap line. You mass block and haze. It's too situational, in my opinion. Or is it that you attack with a certain creature? Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Or is the idea you attack with a certain creature, and then if they block, you Cauldron Haze. But then you're just exchanging one creature for a trigger. Although it might be a lot of triggers by the time that it goes off. Yeah, I think this deck wants to be really low on CMC for the most part. I actually don't even know if the mana base can support a Kaya's Wrath. Like you have 2 Mutavaults here in a 20 land mana base. That's very speculative. This is really like this is like a 6-drop in this deck. Very expensive. Very, very expensive. So I think if someone took this deck and put it in the right hands, like I imagine these cards have to go. I don't know, but I imagine these are the weak links that have to be changed. But I can't give you any suggestions. Like, hold on, what's the Seer? Sacrifice a creature, scry 1. I mean that is a means of keeping the gas coming. Is there another sack outlet card? You know what, Lord Magicus? It's a lot for a legendary creature, but this deck, like, first off, they're gonna kill the first Lurrus, so you're never gonna have like Lurrus stuck in your hand, so it's not a big deal. Carrion Feeder, maybe. That's like the zombie that gets bigger for every creature you sack. Maybe. Not sure. And there's a lot, like, with 8 cards, there's a lot of room to play around here. I don't know, like, I mean, I'm very... Kaya's Wrath feels wrong in a 20-land deck that has 2 Mutavaults, because this is... You need double white, double black to pull this thing off. And forcing the issue with a sack outlet, I think, actually makes more sense than Cauldron Haze. And then you can make better use out of Lurrus. But again, I have not play tested the deck. I have no idea what this deck looks like. I don't think you need mill value out of this deck. It's not important. As your creatures die, you immediately will get them back anyway. But anyway, this is a really cool list. If this works, then great. All the more power to you. But probably you do want to have some sack outlets that you can force the issue, like Viscera Seer. And you get to scry, so you can like keep what's it called? You can you can keep digging into your deck. One downside about this card is that it's 1 toughness, which does not bode well in a Lava Dart metagame. There's a lot of things with 1 toughness here, isn't there? This has 1 toughness. These are good ones because they have 2 toughness. This one comes back at least to Doom Traveler. Hunted Witness, same thing. Zulaport Cutthroat. Well, whatever. Hopefully everything comes back because of Luris. Anyway, this is a sweet list. So yeah, my only suggestion, you pay very damn close attention to these 2 cards to make sure that they're doing what you want it to do. Because this one looks janky, and this one doesn't look that castable. I see the upside. I see the upside. You can amass a board that your opponent doesn't even want to kill, and then you just Kaya's Wrath yourself and kill your opponent for like 30 life because of all the triggers. It's possible. Anyway, thanks for submitting the list. Pretty sweet list. Let's move on. Mistel has been chosen. You're welcome, 5x5. All right, we got 4 Stitcher Supplier, Fiend Artisan, Glow Spore Shaman. So this is like a deck where you want to like mill cards into your graveyard and get some like good value out of it. Narcomoeba, Silver Smoke Ghoul, Uro. Oh, that's neat. So at the beginning of your end step, if you gain 3 or more life this turn, return Silver Smoke Ghoul from your graveyard to the battlefield. And you're also milling Uro into your graveyard so that you can find it. So use both Glow Spore Shaman and Mire Triton and Stitcher Supplier to do that. That's very creative. What's the format? Historic, Dredgeless. Oh, this looks like a very powerful deck for Historic. Ashiok, Dream Render. It's only the target player puts top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard, then exile each opponent's graveyard, but not your own. Call of the Death Dweller. Return up to 2 target creature cards with total converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a Death Touch counter on them. Yeah, I'm familiar with this card. For Creeping Chill. That's also very deadly in a deck like this. And Driven in Despair. I can't read this card. I still can't read this card. Driven is 2 mana. Until end of turn, creatures you control gain trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. I'm assuming that's just like, an incidental bonus, but you probably want the Despair part, Aftermath. Until end of turn, creatures you control gain menace, and whenever this creature deals damage to a player, that player discards a card. Okay, I thought this was going to be like a milling card. This card, well, I can't offer any like suggestion for a better card, so I guess you can play it. It just seems... It doesn't seem to have like any synergy with the rest of the deck. Is all that I'm saying. Breeding Pool, Drowned, 2 Forests, Hinterland Harbor, 1 Island, 4 Overgrown Tomb, 3 Swamp, Watery Grave, Woodland Cemetery, and Zagoth Triome. I'm surprised you're not playing maybe more of the Triomes, because you only have 1 thing on turn 1 to do and nothing else, so you have a lot more room to play more Triomes. If your mana base is perfect as it is, okay, just ignore this suggestion, because maybe it is, because you don't need, like, you need a single black, single blue, just black, green here, probably not hard, either black or green here. So your mana base is actually, for the most part, this deck is really easy to cast their spells. 25 creatures. Well, I think this deck is cool. I think this deck is really cool. I don't really have... I mean, aside from this Driven and Despair card, because this card only works after you've got your stuff in play, but I can only imagine, like, once all the stuff is in play, you're, like, totally ahead. Is Prized Amalgam not... is Prized Amalgam not legal in Historic? Isn't Prized Amalgam Historic legal? I don't know. Hold on, it'll say here. Oh, it's not legal. Okay. we have found out that this is not legal. Uro needs to go? No, the Uro has synergy with the Silver Smoke Ghoul. They gain life with Uro. And then and then Silver Smoke Ghoul comes back from the graveyard. So Fiend Artist, and like there's going to be some games where you just win because of Uro. Gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. Sacrifice a new creature. Search your library for a creature card with convert mana cost X or less. Put it onto the battlefield. I mean, either, well, whatever. You want one Fiend Artisan, that's fine. Maybe I would play more Fiend Artisans over Driven and Despair. I don't know what this card is for, to be honest. I don't know. Maybe you need card advantage in some matchup. So I would just say, if this deck is doing great for you, fine. If it's not, I would consider switching some slots from Driven / Despair to maybe Fiend Artisan, as like I can see Fiend Artisan is going to be a really big beefy creature, and if you increase your creature count in your deck, Fiend Artisan can get even larger because you have you'll just have more creatures to put in the graveyard. At the moment, you're only running 25 creatures, not the most in the grand scheme of things, but just enough. Sweet list. I think it's really cool, and I think you have a lot of synergy here, and it's all going to work out. And look at that, you can cast your Narcomoebas if you actually end up drawing them. I don't know what Ashiok's in the deck for, so I'm just going to have to trust that it's there for a good reason. Maybe just defeat opposing Uro's opposing card draw from like Teferi, Hero of Dominaria or something like that. Oh, it's there to mill yourself. Is that right? Target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard. Then you exile the opponent's graveyards. That is some great tech right there. That's sick. I didn't even know you could do that with Ashiok. I learned something today. Nice list. Very, very sweet list. Very clean. And I think it will serve you. I think it will serve you very well. So that's it today for Coffee and MTG. So thank you very much, everyone, for showing up. We had a lot of fun. We had a great conversation. We saw some great, very, very innovative, nice, clean, innovative decks. They look really nice. I wish I could give more feedback on them because I can only... The list looked good in numbers. The list looks great in idea, but like, you know, you never know what a deck needs or doesn't until you actually get in the trenches with the archetype. But like so far, these lists are really cool, and maybe anybody watching will take them to the next level and also try them out themselves. So thank you very much for everyone showing up, and I will see you all at the next cup. This has been Nikachu, Merfolk Master, for here again for Coffee and MTG. See you next time.